post office, a church, and 3 homes. One's a government entity, one's a nonprofit organization. There are three homes there. 2 of the homeowners are retired. One is has been on unpaid medical leave, still is on unpaid medical leave. Across the street on the west side of 2nd Avenue, there's a not-for-profit food bank that already relies on government and private citizens to fulfill its mission. And there are some other small businesses that exist there. The sidewalk very possibly could be a financial hardship for some of those that it's proposed for. Having walked on the new sidewalk downtown this winter, I didn't go down there a great lot when there was snow and ice, but it seemed to be much more slippery than regular sidewalk is. It also appeared, I didn't have to shovel it, so I don't know, but it appeared that it would be harder to shovel than just the regular sidewalk. We're getting older. We want to maintain our property, but we need that to be done easily, simply, and in summary, we just feel that this red brick enhanced sidewalk in the residential, primarily residential neighborhood, is not needed and would be an unnecessary expense.
Thank you. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you.
As she said, there's 3 property owners there, me being one, them being one, and you got a letter for the 3rd one that I turned in to anybody that's against it.
Mayor, if just for clarification, I'm not sure where it came from on the red brick. On the residential homes, the red brick was never proposed, has never been proposed for anything residential. So, you know, I appreciate your comments, but just to clarify, because we've heard that a couple of times now, and it's never been proposed to put red brick in front of the residential properties.
Oh.
So.
That's good to know. I don't know that was made clear.
Because nothing's been finalized yet. We're not to that stage. When we get to that stage, then we will talk to every one of the property owners individually and let you know what's going on and that type of thing. So,
not to take away from the rest of your comments, I just wanted to clarify for everybody, though, that that is not the stamped brick is not a part of that. Never has been. So.
and
Cracks
last,
in that walk are a problem too, though.
Excuse me?
The cracks in that they put in the regular cement. I talked to business owners downtown. Cigarette butts get in it. Women's high heels get caught in it. It's more slippery. There's businesses that don't like it downtown that already have it.
Okay, yeah, and not passing judgment on it one way or the other. I just want to make sure that everybody's clear that that was not part of the residential neighborhood design, or at least not to my knowledge.
No.
So
am I clear on this, Al? We're just going to take out plain, flat, gray concrete and put back flat, gray concrete? Is that
it really
proposal?
depends. It depends on what you as a council decide to put back in there.
Well,
But
I mean,
that's
is that
been
what you're trying to tell?
well. That's been the discussion is in the residential neighborhoods there was no stamped concrete. It would be a standard sidewalk.
If the
well, there wasn't
sidewalk is
anything in
good,
the
then why are
second
we
block
doing
either,
it?
was there? When you read.
No, well, there was some discussion as to the commercial side of the second block on 2nd Street. The committee has met. In your packet tonight, there is the minutes of the Public Works Committee that suggested that we not put any red brick on the second block on 2nd Avenue Northeast.
Right. For any
But-
part of it.
Again, my concern, not to take away from the comments, and I apologize if I am, but we have never discussed red brick in front of anything residential.
I don't see the purpose here.
Well, then that's a good reason not to have anything there. But anyway, just for
We
clarification.
have one more person that signed in to speak at public forum, and that's Jerry.
Hi, Jerry Hoskins, 614 First Street East, Independence. I guess my first question is, what's the purpose behind redoing the sidewalks from First Street north? I heard it was originally going to be a block north of Main Street other than 2nd Avenue, where there's going to go 2 blocks north. Is that correct?
That's the scope, yes.
Why was it chosen on 2nd Avenue to go 2 blocks instead of just the one?
primarily because of the commercial businesses on the west side and the fact that we have the church and the hospital on the east side. But,
Post office.
I'm sorry, post office and church on the east side. Thank you.
Now, what's with even if I've got two properties on the west side of Second Avenue between Second and Third Street. And my sidewalks are fine. They don't need to be replaced. And I'm curious how you came about wanting to do this to begin with, even from First Street up a block. Now, are you planning on putting in the brown blocks per se like they do on Main Street for the first block back?
If I understand,
First Street to Second Street,
from
yeah.
first to second, yes.
And this also includes curb and gutter,
Okay.
which is primary, very primary, well, obviously both sidewalk and curb and gutter, primary parts of the equation.
Well, I think it looks nice and neat. I mean, I'll give it that. But at the same time, I've talked to several people that I haven't experienced myself, as far as it being slippery and so on. But as far as the maintenance of it, the extra work involved there. And I was talking to one of the mailmen that's on it more than anybody. And he's mentioning it's pretty slippery. And it's just, what's the advantage to the citizens and the property owners of going that extra block? I mean, I think we ought to all work as a team. If you're gonna do something that's gonna benefit people, they're gonna be more enhanced to go along with it, correct?
Just so that the council understands, Jerry owns quite a bit of that, and then you get to Fuelings. I don't know if he sent it to you, but Al has a letter from Chuck Warner that he's got all of that where Pathways and Crawford Engineering is. So it takes up almost the rest of the block except for the food pantry. And so that you know, Jerry, his feelings echo Jerry's as far as the sidewalk being fine and everything. So it's basically almost a whole block that feels that way.
Well, there's parts of that sidewalk, like in front of Jerry's or in front of the residential, that I feel is okay. But when you get down to the food pantry in front of that other building, it's not. I walk
No.
there every day with my kids, and it's a trip hazard. I say it's broken up. There's some spots it's not even concrete. It's just gravel because it's not a concrete anymore.
I
And the
agree with
curbs.
you on that, but several years back, we had some problems with sidewalks, and Dave Hannon just hit on it, said they come along with a spray can and sprayed your sidewalk if the building inspector indeed thought it was bad shape. Well, at that point, the landowner, the property owner, had some options. He could go out and hire his own engineer, his own contractor, and his own cement company, and he wouldn't be dictated to by anybody. He just fixed his property. And more than likely, all that stuff would have stayed in Independence. Now, I just almost bet money if we hire a contractor, I know the last time, all that money went out of town, every dime of it did, except for the engineering part of it didn't. But the contractor, they was from out of town, so how did that benefit us there? It didn't, Not only that, the landowner probably is gonna get by for a fraction of what he would have if we go in there and tear up the whole town and replace all that sidewalk.
So you're saying if we go in and tear up the sidewalk and assess them, they're going to be paying less than if they did it themselves?
No, the other way around.
Not if you look at the figures. It won't be. It'd be cheaper if we do it and assess them if they did it themselves.
I disagree with that.
And I don't, that may be, I do think when we look at the figure, it's a pretty big figure for it's $900,000. Drop out some of it, it's 8, but it seems like a lot. I'm no expert at that, but sometimes we get caught up in this that okay, it's the owner, but then it's still the rest of us who are paying for all of that. And I think we need to step back and say, is it something we really need to do? And, okay, I know that sometimes if you put in a new piece of concrete, it doesn't always look the same, it doesn't in a road. But it turns out to be perfectly acceptable, and I don't think really on some of these side streets that it's really gonna make a difference from a business standpoint or even an appearance standpoint for the city.
Okay,
I know what you were
we
doing
are,
on the
we are
Main Street.
actually in the part of the agenda for public forum for the people to talk. As far as discussion of you guys, this will come up on the agenda. You will have a voting right at that point and can discuss it. But right now, we are just in the public forum part of it to get your ideas so we know what you guys are wanting or saying. When we get into agenda, and it may not even be tonight, but different times, we're still in the beginning of this. This is not something that's finalized. This is not something that's been totally approved by the council. So I think sometimes we're getting a little ahead of ourselves as far as what this even curtails. If you're talking just sidewalk, we're talking curbs, other things. There's a lot of stuff that comes into play with this. It's not just replacing a sidewalk. And when we get all that information, get to that stage and the council votes as to what way they want to go, then we will come out and talk to each individual landowner to let you know at that time what's going on and what needs to be done and get your opinions again. But for right now, we're still just in the public forum part of it. So to get in this big debate at this point, I think we're a little premature.
Yeah,
So,
that's fine.
do you have any?
Jerry, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You go
No,
ahead.
that's fine. I
It's,
just, I'd like to go back and get my original question answered, is how is it going to benefit us commercial property owners and the residents by going a block further north to enhance the sidewalks? If the sidewalks are already in mighty fine shape to begin with, how is that, what's the purpose of it?
Well, I think with the committee that